Hey AstroSnobs, and welcome back to my channel. So for all my American subscribers, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend and a great Black Friday. In this video, we're going to switch things up and take a break from celebrity readings, and we're going to dive into the qualities of a good astrologer. What makes a good astrologer? Do you have a future in astrology? What do you need to look for in your natal chart if you're curious about whether a career in astrology is right for you? All of these questions and more will be answered throughout this video. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of my upcoming astrology videos. I post every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, let's begin. So the first thing I need to point out is the fact that it takes a lifetime to learn astrology. There is no end. Every day you learn something new, whether it's from the transits or other astrologers in your community, and you're going to have to factor this new information with old information and update your beliefs and theories constantly. So as an astrologer, an important quality to have is a desire for learning and an ability to process and analyze information, old and new, which leads me to my first indicator, Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury is a very sharp intellectual planet. It likes to gather as much data and as many facts and figures they can in order to remain in the know and up to date. Mercury likes to break things down into pieces and then analyze each piece and reorganize and categorize information in a way that is logical and that makes sense. And Mercury does that with precision and attention to detail. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, so it likes to circulate information, be the messenger, and it also likes to solve problems by offering practical, actionable solutions in order to serve and heal people and just be useful. Jupiter, like Mercury, enjoys learning and analyzing, but it does it in a different way. It loves expansion and pushing limits and digging deeper. It likes to explore, to test things for himself. So primary research, experimenting, testing, comparing, contrasting, reading tons of natal charts every day, tracking transits and what happens in your life during those transits, and then coming up with your own theory, your own truth, since Jupiter does deal with truth. Also looking at how astrology differs across different countries and understand the bigger picture and the meaning of astrology in your life are all things Jupiter excels at. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces, so it's about not only finding meaning around you, but also finding meaning internally and digging deeper within yourself and your psyche. It's also worth noting that Mercury and Jupiter are both associated with not just accumulating knowledge, but also sharing it with others through teaching, publication, and counseling. And a lot of astrologers are also published authors or have their own course and webinar. Jupiter does tend to deal with a larger scale publishing like books, while Mercury focuses on lighter literary publications like blogs or columns. I mentioned earlier that astrology requires you to constantly change, learn, and adapt, and I don't know if you noticed, but I just described mutable energy, and Mercury and Jupiter all rule mutable signs. So mutability and flexibility and openness are very important traits of a good astrologer. And yes, since Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, you can also keep an eye on that planet, but really focus on Mercury and Jupiter first and foremost. Alright, so you've got the brains, you've got the adaptability, you've got the desire to learn more every day. What's next? A big part of astrology is about seeing the unseeable. A good astrologer knows how to uncover what's hidden. In your natal chart, hidden matters are represented mostly by 3 houses: the 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. So if you notice any activity in one of these houses, this indicates a knack for leading with emotion, intuition, and feeling, and it points to potentially psychic abilities. The fourth house deals with the past, memories, traditions, and ancestry. So having planets in that house can make someone very knowledgeable about history. And as an astrologer, it's important to know what happened in the past, both in reality and in the transits, in order to make better predictions about future transits. Because remember that future is a continuation of the past. The eighth house deals with other people's hidden motivations, things that other people don't like to share with everyone. It also deals with occult studies and anything that is considered taboo by mainstream society. So having eighth house placements can make someone good at uncovering the truth about other people, even when it's ugly and dark. The 12th house deals with what society as a whole hides. It rules the collective unconscious. It is believed that the 12th house is the sum of the 11 houses that precede it. So it has that innate knowledge about society. It is in tune with several dimensions of reality. So if someone has planets in the 12th house, they can tend to retreat from the world in order to fully merge with other dimensions and get insights from the divine. And this can make someone super duper psychic and good at making societal predictions. So now you know that astrology is all about being comfortable with the unseen. Well, there is another house that could point towards a future in astrology, and it is the 5th house. This could come as a shock to some of you since you're probably used to associating the 5th house with topics like love, romance, games, gambling, and casinos. So what does that have to do with astrology? Well, first, you need to find the underlying meaning of the 5th house, which is speculation. Speculation is when you believe something is going to happen, but you don't have tangible evidence to support that belief. Every topic I just mentioned contains an element of speculation. When you fall in love, you're speculating that you just found your soulmate, but there's still a risk that the relationship won't last. When you play roulette at a casino, you speculate that the ball will land on a certain number, but there's still a risk that the ball doesn't land on that number. It's the same thing with astrology. You make predictions about the future, but there is a risk that your predictions won't come true. So the 5th house is all about speculation and the laws of chance. And having some activity in the 5th house can make someone very lucky and good at speculating correctly more often than not. Now let's talk about Saturn. Saturn likes to keep things real. It is a down-to-earth planet that grounds you in reality. Saturn also deals with the truth, the cold, hard truth that you need to hear in order to progress in your life. Saturn is also very detached and objective, and these are all qualities a good astrologer should possess. It's important when interpreting a chart and dealing with clients to be realistic, objective, and honest, and comfortable talking about less fun stuff because it is part of reality. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, but also Aquarius, and Aquarius is one of the most objective, detached signs of the zodiac and is concerned with the future of society and thinking about how society as a whole can progress and improve. And it is a sign often associated with astrology. And since Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, you can also look at this planet as an additional indicator. Now, I couldn't talk about indicators without mentioning the sun. This luminary is one of the top indicators for life purpose. The sun represents your self-expression, the activities you enjoy and that make you come alive, how you get recognized, the things you master. And the sun sheds light on everything it touches. So if your sun is connected in any way to any of the planets and houses I mentioned throughout this video, that's a good indicator that astrology might be your thing. The seventh house, or the descendant, deals with other people, mainly one-on-one interactions. And a huge misconception that surrounds astrologers is that they know it all and that they can guess everything about someone just by looking at their natal chart, which is far from being the truth. A natal chart reading is like a consultation. It's an interactive process, and when someone reaches an astrologer for a reading, they usually have a question in mind, and they also provide a little bit of context about their situation. And then the astrologer analyzes the birth chart and then shares their findings with the client and then invites the client to give feedback and ask follow-up questions. So this starts a discussion that ends up with solutions being co-created by the client and the astrologer, and the client ends up leaving the consultation feeling at peace. So it's important for astrologers to have those social skills in order to make their clients feel heard and valued. This can be represented by seventh house placements. Now let me introduce you to Alan Leo. Alan was a popular British astrologer, and he was known for reviving and reinventing astrology at the end of the 17th century. He tried to make astrology more psychology-based and character-based as opposed to destiny-based. And he's also known as the father of astrology. I just wanted to take a quick look at his birth chart just to see if he had any of my astrology indicators, and look at what I found. First, his sun is conjunct to his Mercury and his Jupiter in the sign of Leo, which makes him extremely intelligent, daring, and willing to learn and expand his horizons. That Leo influence can make someone very prideful and boastful, and back in the 17th century, astrology was actually illegal, and Alan did get arrested and faced prosecution for practicing astrology, but there was not enough evidence, so the case was dismissed. But Alan continued doing astrology afterwards, and he got caught again and actually got charged the second time he was arrested. His Aquarius Chiron conjunct to his descendant can also indicate issues with the law. His Leo sun can also make him destined for fame, and in his case, it's even more likely since Alan is a Leo ascendant, so his Leo sun is his chart ruler. And his Saturn is in Leo in his first house conjunct to his ascendant, which makes him very ambitious, hardworking, and driven by achievement. His Leo sun is forming a sextile to his Uranus, which makes him very passionate and skilled in astrology, and this can also make him a rebel and someone who marches to the beat of their own drum and who fights for the outcasts and societal change, which Alan definitely did. In fact, Alan's North Node is at the first degree of Aquarius, which could point to Alan fighting in his lifetime in order to legitimize astrology, since Aquarius is the sign of political reform and the first degree is an Aries degree, the sign of fighting for what's just and noble. This could also point to Alan being ostracized by society in his lifetime for his unorthodox profession. And Alan's North Node is in his 6th house of service, and Alan definitely spent his life serving the collective. I mean, he wrote many astrological texts. He even founded an occult lodge in London, which is basically a community space for occultists. Alan's Leo sun, Mercury, and Jupiter are all in his 12th house, which, as I mentioned, is a very psychic house. And Alan has his Neptune in the 8th house of taboos and occult matters, and he has an exalted Mars in his 5th house of speculation. So that's only a quick overview of his chart. I could go on and on and on, but I won't. But you can already tell how many astrology indicators Alan Leo has in his natal chart. So here are the 7 natal chart indicators that can give you an idea of your future as an astrologer. Look at Mercury and Jupiter, Neptune, your mysterious houses, the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th, the 5th house, Saturn and Uranus, the Sun and its aspects, and the 7th house. But don't just focus on these 7 indicators. Look at the whole chart for a better assessment of your personality. Also, don't forget that your natal chart isn't the end all be all, and that your free will, the current transits, and perfection years can activate your passion and skills for astrology later in life. So definitely keep up with your transits. Now it's your turn. I want you to go read your own natal chart and see if you have any of my indicators for future in astrology, and please share them with me in the comments below. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this different type of video and what kind of video you'd like to see from me in the future. Also, we are in the midst of Sagittarius season, so feel free to check out the natal chart readings I did for Britney Spears and Tyra Banks, 2 fellow Sagittarius individuals. And also let me know if there are any other Sagittarius celebrities you'd like for me to cover. Happy Gemini lunar eclipse everyone, and I will see you in my next video.